Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning from wherever you are, and welcome to this special Nerd Nation stream of our reactions to what we just saw, which was called Ubisoft Forward, and more like Ubisoft Sideways Backwards and up their own arse. So I am, of course, where is Beyond Good and Evil 2, because we still haven't seen anything from that game. And joining me, I have my usual suspects of Cousin Cheeto and Happy Azam. Though I'm perplexed why you're called Happy Azam given the football results, but that's not.
Yeah, you're right. Shit, I totally forgot.
All right, so we just, of course, everyone would have seen the Ubisoft Forward stream that just took place, showcasing some, not all of the upcoming games. Apparently, they've got more streams coming. And I wait with bated breath at what they have to showcase. But I mean, I don't really give a rat's patoot what they're going to showcase. I honestly don't care. Before we get started and talk about some of the games, I'm going to quickly say this. There was a lot of shameless PR stunts done by Ubisoft in this. Two of the ones that stood out the most was the absolute sycophantic praising of their staff and people that worked on games. Now, usually I'm okay with this, but this is straight out of a Gearbox, a Riot Games, and Activision's playbook of when your company has accusations against them of wrongdoing, sexual assault, or bullying, or all this kind of shit. The go-to is quick, hell, let's all deflect the criticism by putting our staff in the forefront and let's say how amazingly great they are, so they'll be like, oh, what a nice company they are, praising their staff. It's very transparent. Ubisoft, shame on you. You've just sacked 3 heads of departments, okay, for accusations of sexual harassment and assault, or mainly harassment and wrongdoing. So that doesn't fly. The second one, of course, was the change of gameplay focus in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, given what was already leaked. And that one was fine, I suppose. You know, you want to add a bit more to what was already leaked. But we're going to talk about that later. So, to kick off the stream, we are going to talk about the first game they showcased, which was Watch Dogs Legion. Before I have my opinion on this, I'm going to go to Zam and then Cousin Cheeto, and then we'll come back to me whenever you guys are done. So, Zam, what are your thoughts on what you saw with Watch Dogs Legion?
I was happier, so to speak. I didn't know what to expect from Watch Dogs Legion, and I was worried that it was going to be quite generic. And what I did see was a little bit generic, but you saw some interesting moments. One of the bits that caught my eye was the John Wick moment, where you could be all these different characters and they all have their different abilities. And this one guy who looked a lot like Keanu Reeves, and then he ended up wearing that red skull mask and then started shooting people up in a very John Wick fashion. That was pretty cool. Some of the ways you can approach scenarios, that's pretty cool. I like that. If anything, this game has got more of an Assassin's Creed vibe than fucking Assassin's Creed. If this could be the modern day Assassin's Creed, and I could see it like this. I like these sort of approaches. I like the way that you can approach missions differently, and for me, that floats my boat. I like that. So what I saw from Watch Dogs Legion so far looks interesting. Plus, it's London, baby. And it's always nice to see all these familiar landmarks. As a cab driver, I drive around all these fucking places all the time. So it'll be good to see how they've replicated London on the maps. Sorry for going on, but if you ever played Watch Dogs, sorry, not Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed Syndicate, there was only so much of London in that game, and you couldn't. There was a section of the game which was also Tower Bridge, but that was a DLC, and it was a different part of the map, and you had to download it and stuff like that, and you couldn't just go to fucking Tower Bridge, from the part of London you were in Syndicate. In this game, you can go to Tower Bridge from central London. So it'll be interesting to see how much of London's developed, what you can do in this world, what sort of fun you can have, interactions, all that sort of stuff. The story looks like it's going to go through any NPC. So that's how they've resolved that particular issue. But other than that, it looks interesting. I have to say, I'm intrigued. I really am. That's all I can say.
Okay. Cheeto?
Are we talking about Watch Dogs particularly, or just stuff that we liked?
No. Watch Dogs. Right now, we're just talking about Watch Dogs.
Okay. I'm a bit, as I said yesterday, and as I said in previous things, I'm a big fan of the first Watch Dogs. Second one, it was a little bit
Red Hood. Fair enough.
But this one, it looks fun. It looks like they have a decent amount of customization and stuff like that. But sorry, I got my birds in the background. But really, it looks okay to me. This is one of those ones that I'm going to have to play, and if it feels all right, then I'm going to do it. So I don't know. This is one of the 2 games out of this whole thing that interested me going in, and really coming out of it. It's kind of it's another one that I probably won't pay full price for. But I don't know. I got to see more. I got to see. I guess I can't say I need to see more gameplay because I saw the gameplay, but yeah, I kind of need to feel it out. Maybe if they have a demo and I play the demo for a little bit, see how it goes. I'm still very widely on the fence on this one.
Okay.
And by the way, Ginger, I changed the name of this to Ubisoft Forwards Sideways Backwards and Up Their Own Ass, just so you know. You should have said that before, and I'd have made it.
That gets an Italian chef kiss.
It was amazing. That was amazing. I'm like, I am changing the title right now.
Perfect. Yeah. My thoughts on the game was it's basically Ghost Recon Division 2 Legion. That's the vibe I got from it. Instead of just getting to enjoy a nice big version of London, we get a Division version of London, which blocked off and it looks very claustrophobic. Instead of the kind of open spaces that we're used to. I wanted with the gameplay, it looks like the same exact gameplay as the previous Watch Dogs game, Watch Dogs 2, which is very boring. That character was parkour, but it couldn't do anything parkour jump wise. You just walk up to something, press a square button, and it just does it for you. And gameplay mechanic, I do like the different approach to missions. I like that, but they had that in Watch Dogs 2. I'm hoping they kind of expand on more than just 1 or 2 approaches, which we kind of saw. But the fact that you could be one of the guards and infiltrate, I like that idea. That's very much like Hitman. Disguise yourself, infiltrate. Whereas this one, you become the guard and infiltrate. I'm more skeptical with the customization when it comes to games these days, because that's pretty much the hook for trying to get you to spend the money now, because people just don't seem to be that bothered where all the money is on customization. Yet, people spend silly amounts of money on it. So my biggest disappointment with this game, more than anything, it just looks like the Division and Ghost Recon. I wanted it to have its own identity, especially with the gameplay mechanics, but it just looks very basic. Press this button, do this kind of thing, and wasn't a big fan, if I'm being honest. But on the cheap, might be worth the purchase. That's all I've got to say about Watch Dogs Legions. I don't know if anyone else has anything else to add. To see Peanut.
I can understand it. I can understand it. Looking like those other games you mentioned, because those other games are also Ubisoft, and there is a style to Ubisoft in everything they fucking do. Even when it comes to the cinematics and stuff, it's very Ubisoft. They like their factions. Ubisoft, in this game is Albion. You had fucking Unidad and all these other fucking factions, and Degset and shit. They love their fucking factions, and so I can. It's obvious.
That's the problem. You see,
yeah,
all these games no longer have their own unique identity. Watch Dogs gimmick that's slightly different to say Ghost Recon is that you can switch to different characters, but the gameplay is the same generic gameplay mechanics. It's the same gameplay mechanics that's in the Division. It's the same. When I talk about gameplay mechanics, is how the character moves and interacts with an environment, and it's always very just generic, blocky, and nothing ever feels advanced compared to the stuff we got in the early days of the Unreal Engine and the Unreal 2 engine, where people were very experimental with how characters jumped and interacted with their environment. Or even if you look at Zelda Breath of the Wild, how you interact with your environment. These games, they don't offer. They're just so fucking generic. You know, if I can pick a different character, can I pick a character that can abseil? You know, that can parachute, that can climb into little spaces, do that, or is it just jump on a couple of boxes and I'm in kind of thing? You know, so it's that kind of. I want more from a game. You know, don't just change location and then have it the same as all your other games. But yeah, anyway, that's my thoughts. Don't know if anyone has.
Yeah. I think NPC interactions is very important, because the problem with games, with a lot of Ubisoft games, is that you can do a lot of shit in the world and the NPCs don't do fuck all. They just react to go like that. You know, you just kill a few people like that. Yeah, I can't stand that. I mean, we need proper reactions from the NPCs to make this world way more believable, in my opinion, in Watch Dogs Allegiance. Because if you're going to be doing shit in the world and going fucking crazy in this police state, then that needs to be shown. By the reactions of the NPCs.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, well, then we got a couple of shitty mobile games in Tom Clancy's Elite Squad and Brawlhalla, which they're mobile games, so you know they're going to be like, hey, you know, grind away for hours or pay this money and get this character or whatever. I have no interest in the mobile games. I don't know if anyone else has anything
to say. No, I
don't
give a flying fuck. I'm not giving a lot of their shit went over my head. There's only a couple of things that really stuck.
Yeah. And then we move on to the Hyperscape, which is that boring looking battle royale, which is basically just like COD Advanced Warfare with all the fucking jumping around like a spastic and shooting and oh fuck, I hate that kind of shit. Like jump shooting and
I'm not into that. It's Fortnite. By the way, Elite Squad is a mobile game, yeah.
Yeah, Elite Squad, Tom Clancy's Elite. Do you know the one where they freed El Sueño and they'll be like,
it looked like the Ubisoft characters have turned into Overwatch characters. Is that basically what it's going to? Yeah, so they made Overwatch with Ubisoft guys.
Well, I'm guessing it's probably going to be one of those shitty like XCOM type games or like Raid Shadow Legends where you like turn-based attack. If I had to guess anything,
I'm a big fan of that shit.
Mobile games.
XCOM, I love fucking like XCOM. I fucking love XCOM.
Fair enough. But, yeah, that's fair enough. A lot of people do, so that's cool.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, so those were the ones. So obviously we move on to Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Look, we spoke about it the other day with the leaked footage. None of us were really impressed. It all looked pretty boring, samey. The combat looks like the same shit as its predecessors. The one thing I did like was the kind of hood and cloak stealth mechanic of infiltration. Again, I like infiltration in games, so it's kind of nice to see that element in it, because you're supposed to be like an assassin, but again, this game has lost its identity. Nothing feels assassin-y anymore. It just feels like you're just a warrior in a battle now. You know, there's no like doing your own kind of thing, going off on your own, which kind of brings me on to what we saw with the raids. So obviously you get into your little longboats, you go around and you can raid with your team. So I think I don't know if they had anything like that in Odyssey.
They did. They're not necessarily raids, but you had like these sort of battles. Like, you know, once you've brought down the security level of a town or an area, you can then overthrow it. So if you've taken over a Spartan area, the Athenians can overthrow it. Same vice versa. If you've reduced the security level in the Athenian area, that you can join the Spartans to take them over, or you can join the Athenians to defend the area and make it Athenian again. You can play both sides in Odyssey. So, but you end up having a battle. But this looks like you're raiding a place, so you're running into battle, and maybe there's further stages as you progress. You know, that's how it looks.
Yeah. Well, one of the things as well was like, so obviously in the previous two Assassin's Creed games, if characters were certain levels, you just couldn't attack them. They were too powerful. This one, they seem to have done away with that. But from what I saw, there might be, if I was to hazard a guess, is that there are certain high-level areas that are locked away as fortresses. And only after you build up and unlock certain parts of your town and build your own town could you raid these big fortified places. That's just a guess on my part, though. But that's what it kind of looks like. Like you can't get to those unless you have
I hate that.
a certain amount of people. There's territorial allegiances that you can forge. So obviously we saw. Well, this is it. It's no longer that. It's basically an RPG. What's that fucking game that everyone loves? That combat game. I can't remember. But you have like territorial allegiances, which is like you align with like. So we saw the allegiance with the East Anglia in this, even though you're the raiders of a country. So that doesn't make any fucking sense. But okay. Yeah, raids with crews, rap battles, which looked about as fun as COVID.
Stacking stones.
Sorry, go on.
Stacking stones.
Yeah, stacking stones, building rock cannons.
I cannot wait to stack my first stone.
Man, that's riveting. Can't fucking
look. I like Assassin's Creed 3, but that looks worse than the actual board game portions of Assassin's Creed 3. And that's like the worst.
The problem with these mini games is that they're a lot of the times they're just one and done. Okay, let's see what this shit is. All right, I've seen what this shit is. Do I want to go back to it? No. I want to fucking jump from fucking haste. I want to go within a haystack and then, kill a guard or something. That's far more enjoyable.
Exactly.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff is one and done, and that's the problem with this shit. As much as they try to pack it with stuff like this, there's no longevity in it.
No, none.
Yeah.
You've got no health regen in this game either, so you have to obviously collect your food, very much like a lot of survival horror games and Red Dead Redemption 2 kind of stuff. I think in the boss battles it was different. Now I saw the health bar going up, but I don't know if that's because it's a beta, so there's no death in this. Yeah,
the food is for health, though. It's not like you have to keep yourself alive, like Red Dead, where you have to eat because you have to eat. Well, so I believe the food is just going to be like health. If you get injured, eat some food, you get some health back.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Doesn't look like it goes down.
Yeah,
at all. Yeah, if other people want to add anything on what we saw about Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, I do. But Roberto hasn't said shit. So, you want to say anything, Roberto?
I mean, I like the fact that they added some Final Fantasy 15 into my Assassin's Creed with the fishing. I mean, I like it. It all out and out looks like an Assassin's Creed game, which I'm okay with. But there were, as I said before, there were certain elements of the last two games that I didn't like that I saw a lot of in this game. The hack and slash, the lack of stealth. I did like the main character, and I know, Zam, you disagree with me here, but I like the female lead character. We need a good female assassin again, because I consider the one from Assassin's Creed Liberation, because I thought she was great. Ellie from, I think it's Ellie. No, Allie. Evie from Syndicate was good too. Like, we need more good female assassins.
Cassandra was good, mate. Cassandra from the last game was good.
Well, I haven't played that one really. So
female Eivor looks absolutely mundane and shit. And whatever I saw from Mel,
so boring.
Obviously boring and dull, mundane. That Norwegian dullness in her voice just doesn't work for me. And I have to admit, the male Eivor, he seems to be much more up for it. He seems to have a bit more passion about him, and I'm more drawn to him at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's not like, say, in Syndicate, I kind of enjoyed playing as Evie. I thought she was really, really great.
Yeah, me too. I loved Evie.
She was
Evie sweet. She was a sweetheart, man. She was lovely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. She was lovable. She would kick the crap out of you.
Yeah. It was awesome. Whereas in this one, I'm not fussed who I play as. I'll pick a male or female Eivor if I was to play it, which probably not. But nothing kind of draws me to the characters. Again, the dialogue seems pretty much bland and generic. But in what games are you ever enthralled by the dialogue and the dialogue choices? You know, you get some nice bits, and like, I think it was Mass Effect had some cool bits, but for me personally, I just, you know, click and move on. I don't really give a shit about dialogue choices. I just want to rip people's heads off or go stealth. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go on.
I was a big fan of the earlier stories from Assassin's Creed, the overall narrative arc of what's happening in the present day. I was a big fan of that. You know, it was riveting. It really was. And when it culminated after Assassin's Creed 3, they didn't know where to go. You know, they should never have killed off Desmond, which is why they got Lila, her son, as like the main modern day protagonist. And I do hope she gets a game one day. Personally, it'll be nice. But
I did enjoy the in Origins. I kind of enjoyed her aspect of the game as well.
Yeah, she's in Origins
and all that.
She's in Origins and she's in Odyssey. You know, they realized they needed a Desmond. You know, and that's why they brought in Layla Hassan, because she's now the key to all of this shit. Oof, fuck me. But nevertheless, I want that to be interesting again, because that was really riveting. And now with the recent editions of Assassin's Creed, I just feel like I'm going through the motions. Like, I have no idea if there is even a fucking end game to all of this shit. What the fuck are these modern day assassins fighting for? I have no fucking idea. But apparently, what I've heard from previous stories about Valhalla is that when it comes to the modern day shit, a lot of stuff is going to be answered. I have no idea what the fucking questions are, by the way, because I'm totally confused with the modern day shit.
I'm not that fast. Peanut says Dragon Age interactions were great, as an example. There you go. There's a good example there. I never was a big fan of the Dragon Age games.
No idea about that game.
People absolutely fucking love those games. And again, we still haven't seen any kind of inkling of another Dragon Age game. All we saw was some drawings recently, but that's for EA's. That's for when we do EA, if we ever do EA, because they're all shit. So I mean, that's pretty much it.
I've got a few more things. I'm not a fan of these massive life bars on characters. I want to be able to just if I'm hitting them with a fucking axe, 2 or 3 chops, that should be done. Give me the fucking decapitation. I'm fucking happy, but I don't want to keep fucking hacking them on them all the fucking time. You know, after seeing what we saw with Ghost of Tsushima, where you fucking stick a knife in someone, they're fucking dead. For me, that's the way fucking forward. Not this shit, not these huge fucking life bars where you're stabbing the fuck out of someone and they're still going and they're still fucking chatting to you. It's a pile of fucking bollocks.
Yeah. I was never a fan of that. One of the things I loved in the other Assassin's Creed games is if you got one shot, you threw a knife, you could kill your target, and that was it.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you hit him in the head.
Yeah, that was it. Done.
Mm-hmm.
So so carry on, Sam.
Yeah, and another thing, do you think either of these games will be multiplayer at all? Watch Dogs or Assassin's Creed?
Watch Dogs.
I feel Watch Dogs
will be as shit as the Watch Dogs 2 was.
No, I think it'll be more. I think it'll be more like Grand Theft Auto, dude. I think it'll be more like that, in that vein. You come to do missions and stuff. I can't see Ubisoft focusing too much on multiplayer with the Watchdog game. They didn't even mention it at all. And if they were to mention it, it would have been a big aspect of the game. So I'm guessing it's going to be as mediocre as Watch Dogs 2. It's a real shame, because I really feel there is like that GTA multiplayer aspect they could add to this game, and it'll be so much fucking fun doing missions as a team, hacking and beating the fuck out of each other. Like, one person needs to hack and cause distraction, one person needs to be a cleaner, and one person needs to be maybe a getaway driver. All of this shit, it really could work for a game like this, Yeah,
but you're asking too much from Ubisoft. That means they have to be innovative, and they're just not going to do it. They couldn't even handle multiplayer in an Assassin's Creed game. They ballsed it up so fucking badly, and Watch Dogs should be like. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping down the line they're like, surprise! By the way, it's fully co-op multiplayer. Then that for me elevates the game to very interesting. Because although it might be generic, at least the co-op element should be fun. Because, I mean, they've got it in Ghost Recon and they've got it in The Division. So there's no reason why they can't have it in this.
Yeah, for sure. But we already knew those games were co-op anyway. Yeah, I mean, with the way they were. One more thing. Do you think Ubisoft has shot themselves in the foot with having two massive AAA games being released so close to each other? Because one's coming out in October and the other one's coming out in November.
No, because Assassin's Creed is the staple that always sells well enough for them, whereas Watch Dogs 2 didn't sell well for them. So Legion is just, I think that also that's the other aspect is there won't be that much investment in that game in terms of the multiplayer because Watch Dogs 2 didn't sell so well. And which is probably why they've tried to copy the Division 2 and Ghost Recon, because those games are sold really well. But then what's this game's kind of identity outside that little area we discussed earlier? So I don't think there's any danger for Ubisoft at all. They might also just be releasing these games, Legion, just to get out of the way, and might be the end of Watch Dogs. I don't know. I'm just speculating. So
I think personally that if they didn't bring out Assassin's Creed this year, I think Watch Dogs would sell. Simply because there's no competition
else around.
Yeah, I mean regarding what people want, especially if people are who are into Ubisoft games, and unfortunately I have bought a few in my time. It would be, if you had to choose one or the other, you're more likely to choose Assassin's Creed because it's better the devil you know. Whilst Watch Dogs, fuck knows, and obviously the last one didn't sell, and people are not likely to buy it if Assassin's Creed Valhalla is available, and that's why I think this is a mistake. But I want this game to do well. I wouldn't mind them doing another Watch Dogs game in the future. They're doing it right now. Like this third game came out several years after the second one. That's the right way to do things, not fucking every year like they're doing with their other titles. So I do hope this game is good. I mean, if I had to choose between the two of them, I'd rather this Watch Dogs Legions is better than Assassin's Creed because they can go back to that well again for sure. They will. It's a proper franchise. Whilst Watch Dogs itself is still trying to get itself off the ground, so I really hope this game does well, and maybe it could lead to a better version of this game on the next gen console.
I think also, given everything that's happened this year, don't forget Watch Dogs was meant to come out at the beginning of the year. So they've pushed it back. And given that they did this to overhaul their games, it doesn't look like they changed anything with Watch Dogs. So there could be the possibility they're just going to release it and I hope it does well. Don't forget, we also have in November Cyberpunk.
Yeah. But that's a different company.
It's just going to, but everyone's just going to go for Cyberpunk. Everyone's going to be playing Cyberpunk regardless. So it's a big risk for a lot of companies releasing games around Cyberpunk's release. And the only reason I say it's a big risk now is because of everything that's happened this year. There's not a lot of money going around, especially in America. Those people got one fucking check and then the Republicans cried about having to give them another one. So there's that aspect of it. So it's a tough year all around for everything in the arts. So it's very difficult to speculate on what's going to sell well, what's going to do well. Watch Dogs Legion, the biggest selling point they would have had with that game if it was full-on co-op multiplayer, and you can add more and more players to kind of help take down Albion.
Yeah, that would be good.
Like a massive MMO kind of thing. But it's Ubisoft. They lack any kind of creative.
As we mentioned Cyberpunk earlier, I mean, personally, everything I saw about Cyberpunk didn't impress me one entire bit, simply because I'm watching it from a first-person perspective, and that will always be the biggest fucking turn-off for me. A game like that, obviously, I can imagine VR being an amazing element to that game for sure. But if you haven't got I keep almost saying VAR for fuck's sake. But if you haven't,
that wasn't a death. Do it again.
Yeah. But if you haven't got VR and you're not into first-person shooters, I don't think this game looks great. I mean, some of the gameplay looked really shit to me, like the part where he's at the back of the car and he's shooting the cops, constantly shooting the fucking cops. It looks shit. A game like this, honestly, in first person, it looks really fucking shit. And and I hope it does well. I hope people do enjoy it. But for me, it doesn't tickle my fancy at all. I'm not going to buy it. I don't give a fuck about it.
It's going to do bank. I personally have no interest in it because it's so infuriating that it's in first person. Games like this, where you can even traverse fucking buildings and all this, and it's in first person. It never bodes well. And you can't have deep customization in a first person game. What's the bloody point of it? I want to see it. Nobody's going to see it because there's no multiplayer yet. They ain't even doing multiplayer for a whole year after that game's released. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Cyberpunk. That's another day. I just know that game is going to sell well. There are elements to it that I do like, but I just wish it was in third person. But that's pretty much it. Keep it short and sweet.
What I was going to also add, though, is that there's going to be a lot of people in our boat, though, James, who are not into first-person games, and those are the people, in my opinion, who are definitely going to buy Assassin's Creed or Watch Dogs. And Watch Dogs looks like a third-person Cyberpunk game. You know, it does. It's got that vibe about it.
Minus all kind of good stuff.
The detail, like the massive detail of
the combat and
and the heart.
Yeah. All right. Cheeto, have you got anything to add, or we can call it there?
I'm good. I mean, pretty much I agree with a lot of the stuff you guys said. First-person shooters, bad. Third-person action games, good.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Cool.
And I want to go fishing.
Go fish.
Stacking stones.
Look at it. Stacking stones, bro. Well, ride the wave.
It does look better. By the way, the game, we never really mentioned this, but what we saw in the gameplay trailer from Assassin's Creed was miles better than the leak, which was revealed earlier this week. Yeah, it was. And I have to, and I give them a props. They kind of redeemed themselves a tiny bit, but not enough. They redeemed themselves a tiny bit, but not enough.
Yeah, it went from garbage to shit, in my opinion. I don't. Ubisoft are just, the most boring game makers these days. They don't excite me. I don't like first-person games, but out of Arse, Creed, Legion, or Cyberpunk, I'm getting Cyberpunk. Fair enough. Again, I don't know yet. I'll see. If the whole game is in VR, I'm getting Cyberpunk because my brother gave me his VR for now because he don't have a chance to play it because we've got the twins. But if the whole game's in VR, you bet your fucking ass and you're not going to see me. I'm going to have a catheter and be sitting on the toilet, and I'll be gaming like that. Anyway.
Your name, by the way, I'm sorry for constantly stopping the ending of this, but your name is they never showed fucking Beyond Good and Evil 2. They never showed Skull and Bones. So
they never showed Gods and Monsters. Thank you.
And about to say they never showed Gods and Monsters,
which looked really fucking good, but apparently they've overhauled that game completely now, and they've changed it from what originally it was, and it looks really good. So. But like we said, there are more streams coming, so I'm hoping this stream was showcasing the kind of big sellers or the bigger AAA games. The next one is the smaller games, and maybe some news on Beyond Good and Evil. But Skull and Bones, I think they've ditched. Now it's gone completely dead. I saw one person's video talking about it, and they've moved development teams from that to work on other games. So I think it's dead. Unless they come back to it later and turn it into a full-blown third-person pirate game, which is what they should do with it.
Well, you got Assassin's Creed Black Flag if you want that.
Yeah, but change that in that kind of style, but just a pirate world. It'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. Ubisoft disappointed. We'll probably be back again for Ubisoft's next stream later down the year, which will probably be in a month's time or something like that. I want to thank you all for joining us. And to my co-hosts, and we'll see you again for the next one.